Fire Your Boss Fridays. Happy Friday, everyone. I am Chad Passa, and by my side is Lisa Hart, my partner in this crusade for a life lived on our own terms. Today, we are super stoked to have Michael Del Prete, a man who's just literally defied the odds by reshaping them. From the humble streets of Waterbury, Connecticut, to becoming the executive director of the Arizona Real Estate Investors Association, which is awesome. Arizona is where I got my real estate license and my general contractor's license for the very first time. So definitely know the area. Michael is a living testament to the creed, steal your life back and fire your boss. So this is going to be super fun. He's a real estate investor, and then there's a lot more to go along with that, but we're going to dive into it. His journey of over 700 real estate transactions is literally a masterclass in seizing control and serving with purpose. And we're going to get into his purpose here, which I've learned a little bit about today. So listeners, get ready for a session just seriously brimming with insights on real estate investing. Michael, it's for you now. Say hello to our listeners and share with them how the heck you found yourself on a podcast called Fire Your Boss Fridays, man. How did you end up becoming an entrepreneur? Just give us a nice intro on yourself, man.
All right. Appreciate the opportunity to even be here. So thank you. Nice to meet you. Nice to meet the audience. How did I end up here? Well, I want to spread the word about real estate investing and how it impacted and changed the trajectory of my life. So I growing up from where I'm from, the way I was raised, I always jokingly say my uncle was a foreman for an apartment complex, and I would go to work with him. He would operate heavy machinery and drink beer, and I thought that's where I would be. You know what I'm saying? That was the vision. That was the type of people around. There was no like, you can do it, you can go to college. There was none of that encouragement. So finding real estate and, leveraging it, taking it to where I am today, I feel I need to share that.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, giving back. I love it. It's a big part of your success, I'm sure. So when you say that storyline, right? Like that, a lot of people can relate to that story, right? Like I call it literally seduced by society, right? The social constructs around you are seducing you into believing that like, this is life. This is what you get. This is how it works. And it's really hard to like break through that. And I think that's one of our beacons that we're sending out right now is like, that's not the way it is. And how does someone transition through that space? Right. There's lots of ways. Read books, maybe get a mentor. There's a lot of ways to escape, these social constructs. For you specifically, do you remember the catalyst? Was it like you get in a car accident? I mean, everything happens to people in a weird way. Divorce, bankruptcy, something happened. What was it for you? Do you recall? Or
I mean, I think ever since I was a kid, there was always like this gut feeling that I wanted something bigger, but you just could never put your finger on it, or I was too young to even understand what that is or how to go about it. And I think it's like, I still pinch myself to this day because I think it's a layer of ongoing things. And if you can catch on to them and play the game, it keeps going. But I really think it's when I remember I read Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. And I moved from Connecticut to Phoenix, Arizona. And when I was in Connecticut, I'd always go to New York City and I would see the street teams for record labels. So when I was younger, you passed out flyers and CDs and T-shirts, right? So I was like, I want to do that. That looks cool. But then when I came to Phoenix, I love music, so I was at the concerts and stuff, and I saw a street team. I was like, well, I'm new here. I don't know anybody. Let me like try to figure this out. So I approached them, and I happened to be reading Jack Canfield's Success Principles as well as Think and Grow Rich. And I was just like, I know nothing. Why don't I just do what the book says? You know what I'm saying? Like,
what do you got to lose? That's all you got. Yeah.
Yeah. And really, I was writing my goals down. I was doing my affirmations. I was envisioning everything. And I was just taking action on top of all that. And I remember driving down the 51 freeway, which is here in Phoenix, and everything was just working out for me. And I remember just like looking at my steering wheel, which I had a cutout picture of a BMW on my tape to my steering wheel. And I was just like, everything I put my mind to is happening. Like, what I didn't understand what it was going on.
Ooh, that's a dangerous moment when you realize you might be in control, right? That's crazy, man. Cool. Okay.
But
we call that like stealing your life back, right? Because you've essentially started bringing the power into your space, right? You've adopted this idea. So So you got this BMW here on your dash. When did you feel like, I mean, right there you realized this might be working. When did it actually hit for you?
Like the BMW or just like
Well, any of it. When did you feel like, oh, this is it? I've dialed in a few of
mm,
the secrets. Like, okay, now all I got to do is scale. You're right. I just got to scale this operation, this personal growth operation, right? Because it came down to you being a different version of
yeah.
yourself, right? And that was you practicing different, doing things different, thinking you couldn't be anything the same as you were. And as you're noticing, hey, this is actually getting me this result, this is getting me that result, like, okay, when did it start feeling like, okay, I'm ready to scale?
Well, let's put it this way. I don't learn the easy way. So
Take the long way
I,
home.
I'm just one of those guys that just it just doesn't sink in, right? You realize what's happening, and maybe it's I think it's really maybe those limiting beliefs, right? That not believing in yourself, the low confidence, where it's like, yeah, it's happening, yeah, you're amazed, but it's really easy to just go back into the daily program, right? So I don't think I didn't turn it on and go scale millionaire. It
Mm-hmm.
was go back into it, go or pull back, go back in, pull back, and I
Mm.
always saw these like incremental like achievements, but they were never
Mm-hmm.
snowballing. I know,
Mm.
and that's something I even question myself today. I still don't give myself the credit. You got right, you know what I'm saying? Because there's always that other level you're looking up to. So I feel like I'm never
Yeah.
there.
You're trying to get the snowball moving, right? So there's still a lot to learn. Humbles
Yep.
you a little bit still. It's staying like, you, God, I thought I had this. Okay, cool. That's awesome, man. Very humble approach to it all. And I think that's what people gravitate to you with ultimately, because I think, if I'm not mistaken, we'll get into that in a minute, but
Hmm.
you teach too. So, but you've got over 700 transactions to your name. And I'm going to set the stage here. I know a lot has changed since this first
Hmm.
started. How has this, like, these all these bullshit beliefs that you've been telling yourself that have kept you captive before, what could you tell our listeners, like, for you, like, hey guys, like, just lay it on them. What's the biggest bullshit lie
Oh, the biggest lie is what you.
with real estate
Oh,
specific?
it's easy money. It could happen fast. You see the Lamborghinis, the watches, the whole the Instagram fame kind of situation. Is it real? Can you make that money? 100%. Can you hit a home run every once in a while? 100%. However, a lot of people I think come into the business thinking, "Hey, that person online is just cashing in. I'm going to jump in. It's going to pay my bills and I'm straight." Real estate's the long game. It's not a get rich quick, jump in, make a bunch of money.
Amen, amen.
So I think to set the stage here, can you tell us a little bit about what kind of real estate you do? Because it's
mm,
not traditional what some people might be
you're
thinking,
right,
right?
there's a
Like
lot
not
of
a real estate
Oh,
agent.
thank you.
mm-hmm, yeah, not a realist, or maybe you are, I don't know. Tell us about that. Tell us
No,
about
I am
that.
not a real estate agent. I am not licensed. So I started off wholesaling, which is wholesaling real estate is basically you find a property that is not for sale, usually a property with problems and people that do not want the property. And I know that probably sounds crazy because it's the American dream. There's people out there do not want the
Mm-hmm.
property. You get that property under contract, right? So you have the control. You control that asset with a piece of paper, and then you analyze your numbers good enough where it's a discounted price wholesale, right? Then you turn around, you go to the community, the marketplace, you look for a fix and flipper or a landlord like HGTV, that person that comes in, takes an ugly house and makes it pretty, and you assign your rights to that contract to the end buyer for a profit, not a commission, right? So now if I have $100,000 purchase price with the homeowner, and I assign my interest for 100 for 10,000, which would be 110,000 purchase price for the fix and flipper. They bring in the 110 to the title company. The homeowner gets 100, I get 10. No money, no credit. So that sounds appealing, right? But it's not
Mm-hmm.
easy, you know. So
Right.
that's in short. That's how I
Right.
started
That's the
for
start of it
wholesale.
all, man.
Great
The bug was,
explanation.
yeah, great for the listeners out there. So, for all the listeners that are thinking about real estate, there's lots of different ways to get in. This is one, okay? But
Hmm.
this is what I call in the hierarchy. There's a standard trajectory, and correct me if I'm wrong here, my man. when most people get into this space, in the real estate space, first of all, it's a real estate agent. I hear this all the time, like, oh, I want to get into real estate. They become an agent. Like, no, this is what I want. I want to be an investor, not an agent. Okay, so that's number one mistake. But then what I realize is when people get in, they finally realize that investing is what they want to do. They usually don't have the financial ability to, like, invest in real estate at scale because of the funding usually that's involved. And so what they'll do is they start wholesaling, which that's a great gateway. Am I wrong about that? To
Yeah.
getting into the space with no money, because you can do a lot of sweat equity, right? And that sweat equity then gets you enough capital. All right, now you got enough capital, maybe you'll cherry pick one of your own properties, right? And you'll pull one of those properties out, right? And you'll, like, keep it, flip it on your own, or even buy it and live in it if you don't have a house yet. And then of course the natural progression is to, like, then start maybe even lending your own money out. Like, there's just, you keep on kind of going through the cycle up the ladder, right? But the wholesaling is the beginning stage, which is where you started as well, right?
Yeah, it definitely is. And, and it was all by, like, yeah, I didn't know any other ways to start. I saw no money, no credit, make 5K in 30 days. I was like, that's me. I
Mm-hmm.
can't fix and flip a house, landlord a house. Like, what's funny is as you grow, when I first saw landlording, it's like, after mortgage and all this expenses, I might make 200, $300 a month. How do you get rich doing that? But so crazy.
Oh, I know,
It's
right? That's so funny,
mind blowing
right?
now, right? So,
I hear this all the time. I talk to people. Obviously, Lisa and I we've done flips, and been in real estate along with our other entrepreneur ventures. But what I hear from people, I'm like, hey, you ever thought about getting into real estate? You seem like a pretty bright fella or person. And then they're always like, I don't have the money for it. And that's exactly what they say, like almost all the
Well,
time,
or I
because
don't have
there's
credit,
like a
or
delusion.
yeah.
Credit, right? They just don't understand it at all. And I'm like, well, and then right away, um, you probably get this too, Michael. There's like three types of people. You start talking to them about deals like that one you just closed there in Sedona, right? And you're talking to a couple people at a party, and you get that one person who's like kind of just glazes over. It's way over their head, and they kind of just walk away, right? And they
Or
find
they
someone else
almost
to
don't
talk
believe
to.
you.
Well, that's the second person. They think it's
Yeah.
witchcraft. Like, sure, you bought that house with no money, under 1% interest, or you're trying to rob that old lady. And same with wholesaling. You get all that witchcraft stuff, right? And then the third type of person, they want you to teach them right there at the party. So there's a term in the real estate space called bird dogging. So, and this creates like even a lower barrier to entry than the wholesaling. So the wholesaling, you have to learn a little bit more, but in the bird dogging space, you might be able to play around with real estate much sooner. So, and I know you teach students
yes.
how to become bird dogs. Walk me through and walk our listeners through what that is, and kind of what they would learn, and then what they could kind of, maybe make while they're playing around with that. If they want to just get started like tomorrow.
Yep. If you want to get started tomorrow, it's a funny name, but bird dogging originates from the guy with the hunter with the gun. He shoots the bird, and the dog runs out, go gets the bird, and brings it back to the hunter. Right. So the hunter's the one with the gun, the skills, and everything, so forth. So you would go out and look for vacant properties or people that have problems associated with properties, right? Inheritance. Maybe someone passes away. Like here in Phoenix, a lot of people retire. So people in the Midwest, their parents pass away. They can't afford to come here, quit, take the week off of work and all this stuff. So there's all these types of problems out there that where people will sell their house at a discount. So you just need to be in tune and understand where and how to find people that would like to sell their house now for a cash offer. So sometimes cash solves that problem. Sometimes people rather have a better quality of life than own this house. So if you could just identify people, vacant properties, or people in these situations, and bring them back to an experienced investor in your community, then now you can get paid for that opportunity. If that investor buys the house, they can pay you whatever there's no standard number here. So my
Right. It's
world,
all $500 to could be $5,000 depending on the deal. Yeah.
I've done all the above. So here's how I break it down. I say, hey, you hand me an address with a vacant house and walk away. That's $500 if I buy the house, right?
Right.
If you bring me the name, number of the owner, and they want to have a conversation about selling now, that can go up to $3,000 to $5,000, right? Like, more you
Mm-hmm.
bring, the more I can pay. Because if you just give me an address, I got to run it through my marketing system, my research, my follow-ups, my team members, and it could, and it takes time. Just because you hand over an address doesn't mean you're getting paid in 2 weeks. But you could also work it out where it's like, hey, I'll continue to do this. Can you teach me how? You get what I'm saying? You build that relationship. So if you don't have money to pay for a mentor,
Yeah, it's that lower barrier to entry, right? Like I want to get in
yep,
here and just start.
it
That's the
is.
starting point, right? Don't have to learn wholesaling and how to talk to homeowners and find out distress situations, get foreclosure leads, like learn contracts. All you don't have to do any of that
Correct.
yet. Of course, that's the end game, right? And then they'll be playing ball with you, right? Like at your level, but the reality is if you want to get started, that's one of the ways, that Michael can help you play around in that space. And a lot of people do this, but everyone has their different
Mm-hmm.
criteria, so make sure you're doing your due diligence with the individual, guys. This space is there's flooded with mayhem and nonsense, so just be really careful out there. Lisa and I've been doing real estate for decades, and I know Michael can vouch for there's
Oh
a
yeah,
bunch of yahoos out there.
for sure.
But cool, man. I know you got a good history. Plus, so let's talk about this. You run a RIA there in Arizona, which you can't be a Yahoo to run a RIA.
Of
I can tell
course.
you that right now. So, tell us about that. What does that look like if someone's in Arizona right now and they want to drop in? Let's do they call you, text you? How do they contact you about the RIA meetups
Well,
and stuff?
definitely, yeah, we're the Arizona Real Estate Investors Association. We've been representing investors for the last 21 years here in Arizona, from northern Arizona, southern Arizona. Asria.org is our website. We're on all social media platforms. So our office is in Central Phoenix. You can walk right in, whatever you like, whatever's easier for you, right? So social media, our website, or in person. We have about 15 to 17 events roughly a month. So go to asria.org/calendar, see what works for you, and show up.
That's awesome. That's a ton of resources, you guys, if you're really serious about it. Listen, this is a way to escape
Mm-hmm.
the 9 to 5, like so many people have done it. And to be honest with you, I've looked into a lot of businesses. I've done a lot of things, contracting one of them, which is probably the hardest work I've ever done, physically, mentally, paperwork, just there's a lot going on. But real estate investing, if you play real estate for the long game, it's actually not that hard. And I don't want to downplay you, Michael, but
Yeah,
reality is you could just go out, buy a house, sit on it for 15 years, make money. Like
yep,
you technically, there's not a whole, you don't even have to have a
yeah,
strategy. I mean, to some degree, if you just want to go out and, like he said, get some financing, buy a piece of real estate and just casually invest on the side, one property a
love it.
year, two properties. You don't have to buy 100. You don't have to even do real estate full time. Like Lisa and I, we just invest casually all the time. Like we'll never not invest, right? But we have all these other aspirations. So for people who want to get into it and start learning, shoot, you could just for the fact you spend a whole year really understanding this, working with Michael, I would imagine that you would be able to buy at least one property at a discounted price. Okay, so it's worth that alone, just that one thing. So there's no reason you shouldn't casually be doing and learning this stuff, guys. It's going to help you in
Can
the
I?
long run. Everyone's going to be a homeowner, hopefully, at some point.
Yeah,
Go
can I
ahead, brother.
share some? Have you heard the acronym IDEAL? Real estate's an ideal investment.
Lay it on us. Lay it
All
on
right.
everybody, man.
I is for income, so right? Wholesaling, fix and flipping, or just cash flow from your landlording, or being a lender, getting your interest, right? So you got the income on real estate. D is for depreciation, right? Just the government provides benefits to entrepreneurs, right? That provide energy, jobs, shelter, all the above. So the tax code is written for all of us, not just corporate entrepreneurs, right? So if you don't understand it, you got to hire someone that does understand it. So depreciation, you can depreciate your house for 27 and a half years, the structure of it. So without even doing
Mm,
anything. So you could just claim a loss and keep more money in your pocket. E, equity, right? You're building up your equity. Every month you make that mortgage payment, your balance goes down. And know what's even better? Your tenant's paying that mortgage, not you, right? So,
right. It's not your taxed dollars, right? That's the main thing. Yeah.
yep. And then A, appreciation. History shows On average, maybe every 10 years, houses potentially double. So why your tenant is paying your mortgage balance down, the market, yes, there's going to be ebbs and flows and ups and downs, right? But we, as landlords, we don't care about that. Your house is going to be worth more over time. Once again, long game, right? So now you got that big gap in the middle that you could always, that equity you could always access for emergencies, put your kids through college, take that money out, which is leverage other people's money, other people's time, other people's knowledge, other people's resources, leverage that equity
Mm-hmm.
and pull it out and buy another, put it as a down payment on another house.
Oh, don't. You're
So
getting crazy now, Michael. We're scaling
yes, there
already.
you go.
Right? Yeah. 1 property, 2 property, 3, 6, 10, 3, 6, 9, 12. Yeah. Amen. Yeah. So there is opportunity here. And I endorse it, real estate 100%, whether it's part time. If you want to start a business, start a business. But a lot of business owners that I work with actually take the money they make from their business and invest it in real estate. Because where else are you going to put it? You either got to, if you, there's some businesses you couldn't throw money at it and make it make more money, right? Like, there's so many different variables, but with real estate, you can just continue to run your business and you don't really spend money. Say I got 100 grand, Mike, and I want to invest it in real estate. I take that 100 grand, I put it in that asset. I didn't technically spend it. It's just sitting there in that asset. So it's not technically spent on buying a house. A lot of people think when you buy something, the money just disappears, because most things
Yeah,
it
and I'm
does.
glad you said that. That's
Yeah, if it's not an asset.
uh, like
Yeah.
I like what you said about entrepreneurs make money and they put it, invest it, and park it into real estate, right? Because if you just like in my world in real estate investing, it's like you try wholesaling, you try flipping, you're trying to make a living off of real estate. But if you really look back at Robert Kiyosaki from Rich Dad Poor Dad, I highly recommend reading that book, or Grant Cardone.
Dropping bombs again.
Yep, it's
Yep.
like these
Mm-hmm.
guys ran businesses, right? They didn't like me. I quit my job by wholesaling, right? And I just created another job is all I did.
Right.
So, but yeah, I like that aspect. Like just that now. That's with Azria. That's kind of my thoughts. I'm like, you know what? It's a real estate business, is education business and networking, but it's more of a business than investing in real estate. So I'm like, I'm going to take the profits from here and just keep dumping it in real estate versus chasing a deal every day.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's Lisa and I too, is like we decided we want to buy bigger
Mm,
projects that
mm,
last longer, right? Something that lasts a year, 5 years, like a plot of land, a bigger project that, maybe 8, 12, 15, 20 units, like something that lasts longer. So we're not constantly, spinning our wheels on deal after deal after deal after deal after deal. So, but as far as entrepreneurship and, really firing your boss, like he just touched on, Mike, he did that. I
yep.
mean, that was his route. It does take some time. Do you have any education outside of this Robert Kiyosaki book and working with you? I'm going to drop a book bomb on you guys. I think you should write this down right now. It's called Nothing Down by Robert G. Allen.
Yep.
Okay. If you're serious about this, get that book right now. Go on Amazon, buy it. Okay. And if you get halfway through it and you don't want to
Mhm,
call Mike right away,
mhm.
then it's probably not for you.
Great point, man. Yeah, that book holds true every day in real estate, and even more now.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy? It's
Hmm.
wild. I've probably
That's
given that book away. What Lisa sees it in the Amazon cart all the time.
Hmm.
Probably, how many have I
A
ordered?
lot.
Hundreds of them.
Yeah.
So just so you know,
great.
I endorse that book big time. I probably should be, he better be calling me sometime soon.
Well, and it's cool. Like another a way of like and so someone that might be here listening, they're entrepreneurs or and they like the idea of real estate, or even like Lisa and Chad, like you guys are looking for projects. You have experience, construction. You've been doing it. A part of every real estate deal, there's two parts: knowledge and time, and money and credit. So even if you don't want to be that person, I get like engineers, doctors. They come through the here at the RIA, and
They
they're
don't
very
got time.
smart. They ain't got the time, man. So it's like they're looking for operators like all of us on this podcast right now that they believe in and trust and can count on, have great character, and they understand how to make the asset perform, and they'll lend you the money. It's like it's just so many ways, like we said in the beginning.
There's so much money, Mike. Listen, I'm going to tell the listeners right now, if for a second you go, oh, there's not that, I don't have the money, or I don't know how to get access to. There's so much stupid money out there waiting. These people are literally waiting to throw money at you. Once you get in and realize that, like, you need to find the deal. Okay, if the deal makes money and you can secure someone else's debt with that asset, boom, money will just start flying out of the woodwork from every corner. You'll literally have to tell people no. No, that's cool. No, I appreciate it, but I already have this funding over here, because the deal really is the thing everybody wants. So, and that's what Mike does, is he finds the person, structures the deal, and when you make more money structuring deals than you do actually buying deals. Okay, because if you have $10 million, eventually your $10 million is going to go out, even if you're a lender, and now you're just sitting on your hands waiting for the money to come back. But guys like Mike here, he can structure a deal and then bring in somebody else's money, then structure another deal in 30 minutes from then. Like, literally in the next 30 minutes, he could do another deal and another deal and another deal. So if you're going to get into the real estate space, the beauty of it is you could structure a deal after deal after deal after deal after deal, and all the people you're working with could be going, using up all their funding and can't do any more deals, but you just move on and keep moving, doing more deals. That's the power of what Mike does and what he would be teaching you to do.
Awesome. So true.
So, do you have a course? I mean, this would be like a course plug right here. Or do you just teach
Uh,
in person? Tell us how the education process works.
of course. Yeah. So majority of our, well, we're education, networking, and support, right? Market information. So a lot of it, majority is in person here in Phoenix and Tucson. We do stream some of our workshops. It just depends which one we're working on. I don't do all the education. So I have fix it. Like, I get the best in town to do the education. So I do the wholesaling education. So yes, I do. It's called the Deal Finders Club. Everything can be
Okay,
found on our website, right? So I have a specialist in fix and flipping who has a course, a specialist in mobile homes, and so on. So it just
cool.
depends what you're looking for, but Azria would have online and in-person trainings.
That's awesome, man. Okay, cool. So all the resources you're going to need, and all the specialists too, because you've been doing this a while. Plus, that you heard about how many events that RIA has going on, which is a lot. Well, good. Lise, did you have a question you wanted to drop for
Yeah,
Mike here? I want to hear. I remember you had
yeah.
two more.
I had a question. So there's talk in like the traditional real estate space, right? That like maybe now is not a good time to buy real estate, and there's controversy on that too, right? Some people are saying, I just read an article from Barbara with Shark Tank. She's like, oh no, now
Barbara.
is a good time. But anyways, just
Mhm.
curious. So in the whole wholesale and investing space, what's your take on that? Is now a good time to get into real estate investing, or is there ever a time when, oh no, you shouldn't do it?
So, okay, how I would say that is I started in the Great Recession, not knowing even what I was doing. When I gave my 2 weeks notice to the managers, they literally laughed at me, and so it was like I had no clue what was going on. So I got in at the worst time, and I've watched it go from the worst all the way to the top. So I went through all cycles. Well, yeah, I went through a full cycle. Let's just say. Um, so I think it's always a good. I haven't stopped buying since I started. So I think that goes into what we call your investor identity. Who are you as an investor? What are you trying to do? What are your goals? Right. And I think there's always a deal out there. So you get, does that make sense? Like, can you structure the
Yeah.
deal? Right. So I always think it's a good time to buy. So even if you're looking for your first home, you're house hacking, you're looking for a rental property, especially if you're a rental property, it doesn't matter. It's going to double in 10 years, right? And your tenant's paying
Mhm.
it down. You're going to keep it forever. So you're going to pass it down to your kids. What does it matter what the market is? So, and even
So
if
it's
you
all
look at the
about learning to adjust, basically.
Yeah, navigating is what I'm hearing. Yeah.
Hmm.
yeah, education and yeah, navigating with the times. Like sometimes I like to say, like when you recommend Robert Allen, that was at a time where it's like you couldn't just go to the bank and get a loan because it was like 20%. So they had to get creative with the carrybacks, the subject twos, and the lease options and the wraps. So it's like we're back there again. Rates went high, market's high, nothing's cash flowing. So you had to have the education, understand, have different tools in your toolbox, and now you're applying them more. They'll go away for a while, like 2, 3 years ago. No one wanted to talk No agent wanted to talk to us in the traditional market, right? So, or did a homeowner didn't want to either? Because why should they? They can get top dollar from a hedge fund. Why they? You know what I mean? It's just sign of the times. But I think it's always a good time. And what I was going to say is when I started in the crash, all the people that um, were
This is
underwater
the
and sold their
'07 crash
houses and went to
in
foreclosure.
AZ, right?
Correct. Yes, we got hit the hardest, and it's like all those houses, they're back to what they were worth or more now. Right. So think about like even my parents, they foreclosed on their house. Like, oh my God, we're upside down 100. Hey, whatever it is. I didn't know either. I wasn't in real estate at the time. But now that house is worth more than double than they bought it. Time.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so true. I mean, those numbers don't lie. I think if you're, and I'm really getting into it deep. I thought we'd keep it on the surface, but here we are going deep, guys. So you're getting an earful. But I think I remember, like, if you look at it, a wholesaler, they're not going to lose, okay, because they're in a safe spot. You're in a pretty safe spot as a wholesaler, okay. But if you're a flipper, but if you're a full-time flipper versus a one-time flipper, that's where you're not going to have to worry too much. Because let's say you take a hit on one property when the market shifts, okay? Because a flip's going to take you 2, 3, 4 months, sometimes 5 months, depending on the market and wherever you're at with that deal. Let's say during you have that asset locked up and you're working on it and it tanks. As soon as it tanks, what does that mean? That just means anything else in your portfolio, it moving forward, you're going to buy it at the new market rate based on the new market conditions. So it's really only a small section of the tip that you can really, really lose on. And then you're just on the upswing all over again because it doesn't go down, down, down to nothing. Assets don't go to nothing. Like real estate doesn't go to zero ever, right? It's always something. You're not, if you put your money in there, it never goes to 0, ever. Like the asset will always hold some value, no matter what. But yeah, and then if you're in the money game, you're in the same space. You're going to lose on a few, maybe a few assets, but right away you're playing in the next playing field right away again. And so if you're in for the long game, you can recoup. That's why real estate, you can make so much money because you do take dips, but you can definitely raise up out of there pretty quickly. So, well, Michael, what for you right now, like what are you buying? Like you bought this property in Sedona, which if you're going to sell the contract, I might be looking at it. What do you got? 1.7. I'm in.
Oh man, I'm not selling that one. That's
No.
my forever home right now. So yeah,
Yeah, I have to
more
say
than
I'm a
welcome to
little
visit.
jealous.
Are you going to go live in Sedona or what? What's your plan?
Yeah, so my wife and I, we go there all the time. We just love it there in general. We hike and just enjoy being there. If you guys, are you familiar? Sounds like
Oh, 100%. Yes. We go to Sedona as much as we can.
you are.
Oh yeah, we love Sedona. That's why
Yeah.
we're looking at assets up there too, man.
Awesome. So yeah, no. So we have this opportunity. We already closed on it. We're starting the renovation this week. So basically, what's great about it is we can do the short term rental, and then block. We're just gonna like plan our life, right? So we're gonna say we want to go here on these times, these weekends, these holidays, and then short term rental everything else. So that's the goal right now.
Awesome. I love it.
Awesome, man. That's going to be freaking awesome. And then to be able to, write off your trips up there and all that, like just it's a perfect fit, man. Life by design was what Mike's doing there. So you got kids, Mike?
Yep. Yeah, I have a son, 16.
Okay. So do they hike or are they like our kids? They just want to stay in the car.
Yeah.
Not all of our kids.
Not all of them. I shouldn't say that, but yeah.
Yeah. He's a teenager. He has better things to do.
Right. So you give back too, like with these students and stuff. Obviously, you're teaching, giving back to the community in that way. Is there any other ways that you're giving back at all with your organization, or what? How do you guys do anything? Like, do you do anything for the holidays? Like, what's going on with all that?
Yeah. So outside of like helping, our members and everything, learn real estate and grow, there's an organization here called Maggie's Place. So it helps single pregnant mothers. So what we do is throughout the year and definitely on our anniversary every November, our membership, we get together, we find out the 4 or 5 most important needs of their organization. And I think like this, we raised like $2,000 and we got 4,000 diapers and like 10,000 baby wipes. Like we got all this stuff. So we're huge supporters of Maggie's Place.
That's cool. Maggie's Place. All right, cool. So probably can find that online. And then if you guys want to donate, if that's somewhere that hits home for you, obviously he's doing this all the time. So there's no wrong time to watch this podcast and give back to your community and give back to these moms. So that's awesome. But anyway, dude, it was awesome. I'm gonna have you back if you don't mind, Mike. Is that cool? Or maybe you can have me on
Yeah,
your
of
show. You said you
course.
have a show.
Yes, yeah, we have the Ezria show. It's all about real estate investing. We do real estate, our member spotlights, real estate investors in the community around the nation, and real estate service providers. So anything real estate investing is on the Ezria show for sure.
Okay, cool. So do you cater to like newer investors on within that community, or how? Because that's a broad space, right? Like, okay, like we just
It
talked
is.
about today, ditching the 9 to 5 all the way to, you know, doing option buys in neighborhoods on old houses and waiting for the church to be built, type of thing. You know, like how does that podcast, how do you orchestrate that or whatnot? Tell us about that.
We just it's surface level. We do have, like I know, like the intention was to kind of stay surface here, but you kind of go off and you go dive deep, especially when you're passionate about
Right. It's
something.
hard
So
not to, yeah.
I would say we try to keep it. Yeah, it's like you try to keep it surface level. We try to cover all different types of real estate investing. So I would really say every strategy has been covered on the podcast. So you just kind of search and see what fits for you. So yeah, there's no really anything real estate investing is really what it is. I do need to start getting more like niche like shows is what my goal would be. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's all around real estate investing. So
Well, let me ask you something. I have a little mini kind of thing that I do because most of the time people want to know how to buy the first asset. Even if they're watching guys like you
mhm.
online and, all the gurus that are out there's hundreds of them, Jerry Norton, Pace Morby, this just goes, the list goes on and on and on. So if you're watching them right now, one of the things I see people is like the things that are holding them back, usually like they don't know how to write a contract, they don't know how to talk to an agent, they don't understand any of the basic processes. And even though they already know how to do it, they won't do it. How do they lock up their first property, right? Because that gives them the confidence, right? So anyway, that's one of the things that I teach. So I teach people how to lock up their first property, put in like their first 100 offers. So is that something that
Love
would
it.
do well on a show like that, like at that level?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Definitely would. And that's a big thing. That I think that mindset piece, that lack of confidence, or the putting those excuses, like I need to all my ducks in a row kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
That's what stops the average person getting into real estate investing. So yeah, and I agree with you. I like you said, 100 offers. Like you need to talk to what I think that's the original Robert Kiyosaki thing, where you got to analyze 100 deals to get one. And I think
Right.
people don't understand
That's what
when I
we're
say it's
hoping
hard
for,
work.
right?
It's like
Yeah.
it's not
Did
hard.
he say that? Maybe I stole it from
It,
him. I don't know. Nonchalantly I would have done that. I didn't
no,
know.
it's just it. It's really is just the real number. Like even in
Yeah.
wholesaling, it fluctuates, depends on what market you're in, what market conditions are. But we're landing at wholesaling. You got to be at least 80. Like real people that say, I want to offer on my house because I want to sell it. You got to talk to at least 80 of them. So it fluctuates, but that's
Mm-hmm.
what it takes. So yes, that is a good thing to talk about.
Cool. Well, maybe you'll have me on over there because I love getting people to their first deal. That's probably, yeah, you light the fire. You know what I mean? Once you
Yeah,
light the
man.
fire in someone like that, man, there's nothing stop. You better get out of the way. Some of these folks, they're bright people, but they just got these fears, right? And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes you're like, yeah, watch out. This person's on fire now because they know what's possible.
That's true. I seen
So
it.
cool. All right, man. So everybody knows to follow Mike on social media, and if real estate is going to be your thing, you can get your start here. It's been so fun hanging out with everybody today. Fridays are always awesome. Catch up with us next Friday. We've got a ton of cool stuff coming out. Season 2's coming for Fire Your Boss Fridays, and man, we got some crazy stuff planned. There's going to be tons and tons of stuff. But Mike, you're going to be on one of our closing out episodes of season 1. So I'm happy to have you, man. But that is a wrap on Fire Your Boss Fridays with Mike Del Prete, right? Hopefully I'm saying that right. So go out there, make your mark, be authentic, make some noise, people. Okay. Get out there, be noisy. Okay. And until next time, steal your life back, fire your boss, and live a life full of purpose. from us, Michael, from Lisa and I, we say thank you for listening, and we will see you next Friday. You only see from Michael next Friday if you tap into his network. So, all right, guys, take it easy. Until then.